where the Acting Minister of Information and Media and Chief Government Spokesperson, Honorable Brenda TAMBATAMBA, will be addressing the media on a number of issues affecting the country. And as usual, the Minister will deliver a statement, and thereafter will give an opportunity to the media to ask questions. The Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
A good afternoon to all of you, ladies and gentlemen, who are congregated here for this afternoon conversation. And welcome to today's press briefing. I called this press briefing to interact with you so that we are able to clarify a few issues within the socio-political and economic context. And I think this is a practice and a tradition that has been adopted for a while under the New Dawn administration. Some of the issues that I'll be looking at are the appreciation of the Kwacha, some claims from our political contestants, political leaders in the opposition, and the farming season in context of the drought. So those are the prioritized issues that have been lined up for today, but of course you'll be free to ask a few questions that are of critical importance to the nation. Appreciation of the Kwacha. Let me start by expressing our happiness as a government that the Kwacha keeps appreciating against other convertible currencies. Members of the press, this reflects the efforts that government has put in place to strengthen the Zambian economy and promote sustainable growth and development methodically. Tactics, techniques, measures that will in the future and are currently, as we have seen with the Kwacha, making impact. As you are aware, ladies and gentlemen, government through the Bank of Zambia has continued to implement prudent monetary measures aimed at stabilizing the currency, exchange rates, and controlling the inflation, which has positively impacted the value of the Kwacha over the past week, if not a couple of weeks. One of the measures includes the introduction of the export proceeds tracking framework. The introduction of the export tracking framework. Through this framework, what is happening, ladies and gentlemen, is that exporters are declaring money in dollars into the central bank, leading to increased dollar liquidity on the local market. Further, government has increased the statutory reserve ratio for all the commercial banks and in order to limit the amount of the Kwacha in circulation. This means that there is now little Kwacha chasing foreign currencies. Another factor is that some investors have started disbursing their capital injections into our local companies. As you would have recalled that this has been anticipated. The President has spoken about this. It was expected, it was known within the measures that were being put in place. So now we can see this starts to happen. I'm sure all of us are following the news. You are the news mobilizers, collectors, and so you know what is going on the Copper Belt and other parts of the country. Another factor is that some investors have started, of course I've mentioned that, government remains committed, therefore, to implementing policies and measures aimed at maintaining macroeconomic stability, fostering economic growth, and enhancing the resilience of the Kwacha against external pressures. On a second note, there has been claims by former President Edgar Lungu that civil servants are frustrated. Ladies and gentlemen, let me unequivocally state that the claims by the former president, Mr. Edgar Lungu, that civil servants are frustrated due to the purported micromanaging or micromanagement of government functions from State House by His Excellency the President Hakainde Hichilema are unfounded and baseless, God forbid. President Hakainde Hichilema, our statesman, respects the autonomy and expertise of civil servants in their respective roles. They are the experts. There is no policy or indeed a directive from State House that mandates micromanaging of government functions other than the standard operating procedures, the conditions of service that are available within which to provide framework within which all civil servants or public workers are governed by. So it is those conditions of service, the job descriptions that govern those processes. If by any chance, of course, these or some of the civil servants who may be bringing or making those allegations may have been amongst those who were given power that doesn't belong to them or functions and roles that don't belong to them, then it is not surprising that they begin to find a vote vacuum because they took over illegally. They took over illegally functions that were not theirs. On that front, this government will do everything possible to make sure that we realign, we re-engineer, we recalibrate and ensure that each function focuses on that which has been stipulated in their mandate or job function. Ladies and gentlemen, moreover, there are established grievance handling procedures to address any concern raised by our civil servants. If anyone amongst public service workers has an issue, of course, there is the grievance management procedure through which they can find redress to whatever the issues may be. If so, there are any civil servants who are frustrated, as alleged by the former president, Mr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu, they would have followed this structured and transparent mechanism for them to voice their concerns and seek resolution and not to speak through Mr. Lungu. Number 3, the declaration or declaring the 2023-2024 farming season. In fact, consideration, I don't want to put it that way. I want to say whether there are considerations of declaring the 2023-2024 farming season a national disaster. Government acknowledges calls from some sections of society across the nation to declare the 2023-2024 farming season a national disaster owing to the dry spell the country is currently experiencing. While the challenges that we are facing as a nation on this regard are significant, the decision to declare a national disaster is a serious matter, ladies and gentlemen, members of the press, that requires careful consideration and adherence to the provisions as outlined in Part 6 of the Disaster Management Act of 2010 that provides the framework which decision-making on such a matter would have to consider. Let me assure the nation, therefore, on behalf of government, let me assure the nation that working together with relevant authorities and stakeholders, government is assessing the situation on the ground to gather accurate and comprehensive information, data on the extent of this challenge, the disaster, the drought situation. Once the assessment is complete, government will take appropriate measures and actions based on the findings and compelling reasons that will drive the decision to be taken. We urge all members of the public to remain calm as we conduct this assessment. And at this moment, may I pause and reflect. As a Christian nation, we know in one of the Gospels a situation that took place on the lake when there was a tempest and the Lord Jesus was sleeping, and the disciples were very concerned. Of course, he was sleeping, but for what we know of him, he knew what was happening. When the disciples started crying out and waking him up, alarming him to say, were calling his attention to the matter, to what they saw, they considered as a disaster, he said to them, "Peace be still." And indeed, the New Dawn administration, within the ethos and the values of the value system that we follow, and the fact that we are a Christian nation, can only heed what the Lord Jesus said, "Peace be still." Be assured that God is with us. Be assured that God has placed before you a leadership, the leaders, a very competent and experienced negotiator, problem solver, deliberator, and listener, your president, who I know in the recent past has assured the nation and said to them, "We are aware and we shall not leave you to walk alone." Your government cares. Your government is not just looking at this. While peace is still, your government is working in the background. I thank you. I now wish to request you members of the press to ask any questions that you may have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister, for the statement. For members of the press, I think this is an opportunity to ask questions and points of clarification on the statement that the Minister has just delivered. Any questions, colleagues?
I'm here for you.
Minister, it's like we do not have any questions from our colleagues. And therefore, at this juncture, I will just request you to wind up this press briefing and call it a day.
Thank you very much. Once again, I'd like to thank you, men and women of the press, for availing your time within your profession, within your level of effort, to come here and give attention to these matters that are very important, because you are the ones who are the platform, you are the ones who provide the channel, you are the ones who provide the expertise of enabling a government as the, is it the third estate? The media, the press, the fourth estate, yes. I am losing my civil society days. The fourth estate, you govern with us, we work together. And information provision is part of the governance matrix. And so it is you we look to pass on all policy interventions, information on policy interventions that are being undertaken by your government to the people, for them to appreciate that their government cares. Their government is not sitting back. Their government will not go to any fora. Their president will not go to any fora within the country and anywhere else and not focus or spend time reflecting on what this drought situation means to us and what it should take, and without him thinking about what interventions should come from the government, what interventions should come from the government, central government, provincial government, the district, the constituencies, all the way to the community level where the councillors are. And indeed, of course, at the level where the mayors and everybody and the council chairpersons are. So your government, he can assure you that we are pursuing this matter, and we shall do the nation proud with whatever measures that we are seeking out. And already the government has talked about so many things that we have to think about as we go through this situation, and thinking through solutions that we will take into the future. Because when you go through a tempest, such as the one that I referred to at that time, definitely there were lessons that were learned by the disciples. In this context as well, year by the other year, or whenever we have gone through any challenging situation in the country, there are lessons that we learn from this. So I can only call upon the citizens that they invite every part and piece of with the wisdom they have in the community, every level of expertise that they have in the communities, every level of skill levels that they have in the community, to mobilize themselves around many interventions that can help us to move together as a nation and move out of this competently, so that in future, what we have learned from this situation and what we will end up generating as part of our way of governing ourselves in our communities, our survival tactics or packages or survival kits become part of the governance tools of the future, so that we are able to survive. Today I was looking at a clip that is demonstrating how Dubai has started growing rice in the desert. There they are. And so it took time for them, many, many years, for them to get to that place. They have learned a lot of lessons through their toil, through the resilience that they've developed over years for living in the desert. And today they are generating technologies that we could never imagine that they could deliver some of the things we are seeing out there. The crop that I was able to see, and I've seen it before in other sectors, they are generating technologies, innovations that will help them to live into the future. So global warming is real, and so when we hear the ministry, we hear about the Ministry of Green Economy. This is exactly what it's all about. This government recognized this immediately we came into office and set up that mechanism, that office. And so through that office and through every other sector ministry that will and is definitely being impacted by the global warming, we hope and pray that will generate knowledge for resilience for our citizens into the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. There we have colleagues. That was the Minister of Information and Media, the Acting Minister of Information and Media, Honorable BRENDA TAMBATAMBA, addressing the media. For now, I think we are calling it a day. Thank you very much.